Okay, so this is just going to be a quick demo of some of the features that I put into my assignment. Here we can see the feature list, okay? So I've put in every single one of these. They're all in the game, and there are multiple instances of a lot of them, such as the probability, the inference-based behavior, randomization. There's a lot of instances of that, okay? They're not just one of each. Okay, so you can see here that I have a good few enemies in the game. Some of them use A-star, some of them use table-based pathfinding, some of them use dynamic nav mesh finding. I'll go through them all anyway in the demo. And there's a few extra enemies that I threw in as well that are just my own kind of creation. Okay, so I suppose I'll get to it straight away. I'll just run it there. Okay, so here we go. So here you can see a normal standard bug, okay? So you can see he's coming at me, he's attacking me, he's going to follow me wherever I go, and he's going to take my health down, okay? You see my health depleting there in the bottom left. And so you can kill these enemies by either with a spear, or you can actually jump on their back like that, okay? And you'll see there, after I jump on his back, he starts dying and he starts running away, okay? So I'm actually being attacked by a wolf there as well, but if I just actually pause this now, alright? Right, if I just pause that now, I'll just move this screen out of the way. So you saw the bug started running away, okay? So there he is, look. This particular bug here. He started running away when his health got down pretty low, okay? So if I just show you that over in the inspector here. So we can see here his health has gone down to 40 as opposed to 100. And down here his state has changed to fleeing, okay? So what he's actually doing is he's actually after looking for an enemy that is of higher health than him. And he's going to run to that enemy's position and basically look for protection off it. So what those bugs do when they're weak is they run away to a stronger enemy. And there's other enemies in the game now that do similar type actions when they become a little bit weaker. They don't always just run to a different enemy. They run and do different things that I'll discuss when I get to. Okay, so. Okay, so I've just put in another type of bug here, okay? So I've just put another type of bug in the game there. What these bugs do is, they act very similar to the first type of bug, but this time when these guys get injured, they don't run to a stronger enemy. What they'll do is they'll look for weapons that the player can pick up that are placed throughout the map, and they'll go and start destroying those weapons, and then they'll start patrolling again. Okay, so if I just run it here and give you a quick look at what that's like. I'm just going to run over to this fella, get his attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to injure him now by jumping on his back, okay? There we go. And now he's going to run over to one of those weapons over there. And you can see he destroyed the middle one there. And then he's going to run off and start patrolling, okay? So that's what those bugs do. And they act a little bit differently. They're still pretty weak, but what they'll do is they'll try destroy our weapons at any chance they get. And you can just see that the wasp has been called there and he's coming for me. That's because this blue thing over here, he calls the wasps. But I'll go through him next time, so it's a little bit more clear. Okay, so you can probably see that blue enemy up there in the corner. Okay, the guy that's rotating around in a circle. So this enemy alerts the wasps in the level. Okay, so he will call the wasps and tell them where the player is, but he can only spot the player if the player is moving. Okay, so kind of like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. If you're not moving, he can't see you, but if you are moving, then he can see you. But as well, you have to be in his line of sight. So if you can just remember the cone of vision thing that I showed you earlier on, it works like that. So he has one eye, so he can only see in that direction, okay? And he can only spot you if you're moving. So now you can see he's looking away. I can move all I want, and he hasn't spotted me. But if he's looking at me and I move like this, you can see there that he jumped. And what he's going to do now is that's actually going to start calling the wasp. So I'll just show you again. Start moving. There we go. He's gone crazy. So he's going to call a wasp, and if I actually stand here for long enough now, a wasp is going to come. Okay. I can actually see him coming here on my own screen there, so if I just go up to the door here, I'll show you. There's the wasp just coming through the door now. You can see him dropping his breadcrumbs as he approaches. So that's what those blue enemies do. And as well, if you go close to them, they'll teleport to a different position as well. So look, I went close to him, he disappeared, and he's somewhere else on the level now, where I won't be expecting him, and he'll probably spot me and call more wasps. Okay, and the wasps themselves are pretty self-explanatory. They drop breadcrumbs, and if you can get rid of them, then if you can get out of their line of sight, like so. You can see that he's started going back there, look. He started going back through all his breadcrumbs. And he's going to go back to his initial position unless he sees me again, which he will if I run out here. So there he sees me again, and he starts going towards me again and dropping his breadcrumbs. Okay? So I'll go on and show a few more enemies in a minute. I suppose I'll just do a quick little run through of the game just so you can see what the game's like when it's being played properly again. So again, you can collect weapons, you can throw them. For example, I'm going to throw this here with the left button, or you can collect health packs, collect eggs, everything you could do in the first game. Okay, so these plants when they see you, which you can only see if they're facing you, these plants will call wasps to come and help them. Okay, so I can kill this wasp as well. I can attempt to kill it. You can collect medipacks again. So if I leave this wasp hit me a few times, there's my health is going down because he's killing me. If I right click to use the medipack, there my health goes back up. So these guys were in the first game again. These are just patrollers, so they go between static waypoints, and if you go close to them, they'll come for you. Or if you run away from them, once you get out of their range, they'll go back to patrolling as they should. So look, these bugs are all coming from me now because I was in their cone of vision. Okay, so if I jump on their backs, they'll either die or run away. Or I can just run away from them. So look, I hit the two of those there. So now they've gone running off to a stronger, either to destroy a weapon or to a stronger enemy. Okay. So they're the wolves here again. When a wolf spots you, it calls all other wolves. Okay, you can see now this wolf is coming from me, alright? And he's called all other wolves. So if I start running down the way he's come, I'll probably encounter the other two wolves, unless they're really, really far away at the moment. But they're definitely coming to this position because that's what wolves do. They tell all other wolves where they spotted the enemy. So there's another wolf now coming, simply because the other one called them. And if there's any other wolves on the level, they're probably around here as well, because enemies are randomly instantiated, by the way. So every single time they're in different spots, unless they're one or two enemies that I placed at the start of the level. But other than that, enemies are randomly instantiated. Okay. So I might just leave that there and go on and actually no, I'll just collect one or two eggs first. Okay. So as you can remember, the whole idea of the game is to collect eggs. There's a big huge enemy going to hit me there. So we can see that there's an egg here, and if I collect it, the GUI in the bottom right lights up. Okay. So I can collect the medipack here again because my health is low. I'll right click, and there it goes up a little bit. And so same general premises as the first game, but just with different AI, different controls. And now you have 3 lives as opposed to a single life. There are a few other differences as well, but I'll go through those in time. You see the wolves are still after me there, but if you get far enough away from them, you'll escape them. Okay, so I'll just clear that there. Okay, so this is a new level. It's just kind of a dungeon-based level. I took the roof off the entire level as well, just so you can kind of see clearly what's happening. Okay, so there is one single enemy in this level. Okay, so it's a wasp that's over here, and he uses the A-star algorithm. Okay, so if I zoom out, you can see this white square that goes around the entire level. Okay, so that's basically the outline for the area that's going to be used for the A-star algorithm calculation. So what it'll do is it'll chop that square up into a load of different nodes. And any node that the enemy can walk on will be green, and anyone that they can't walk on, that's like a wall or a barrel or something that obstructs the enemy, will appear red. So the enemy can't go through those. Okay, and he'll avoid those when doing his calculation. What it'll do is it'll actually calculate a path from its own position to where the player is, because the player is its target. So it'll calculate a path between those 2 points that will turn up green. Okay, and you'll be able to see that up here in the scene view. So what I'll do is I'll just press play. Sorry, I'll go into press Y here actually, so it's really clear. Just 1 second now. Okay, so I'm just going to press play now. You should see it all happen then. And I'll pause it then so we can see it clear. Okay, so I'm just going to pause. Okay, so now you can see that the entire grid has been broken up into green squares. Okay, and the red ones, if I zoom in here, you can see the red ones are walls and things like that the enemy can't get through. Okay, so they're like obstacles. Green ones are traversable, and then you can see this black path. This is the path that the enemy has has basically calculated from its own position as the shortest path to get to the player. So you can see here's the enemy. It's going to walk close to the wall the whole way here, come across here, and down to the starting point here where the player is, okay? So that's how the A-star works in this particular game. So you can see these nodes anyway, everything's been broken into nodes. You can actually determine yourself how big or how small these are. So for example, if I stop that, okay, and if I look for my A-star object here, which is basically my grid, over here on the right, we can put in here the size of the node radius, okay, so you can have it as accurate or inaccurate as you want. So for example, if I was to make this node size 2, that would be much bigger, so it would be a lot less intense on the CPU, but you get a lot less accurate calculations. So if I was to run that and pause, so you can see now how much bigger the nodes are. But again, look, there's huge areas now that the wasp thinks it can't go through because it has tiny little bits of walls in it and stuff. So it's it's obviously not ideal. You can obviously do the complete opposite then and go down and make it way smaller. So I can make these nodes way smaller, like 0.1, and then run. Let's pause that again. So now you can see my computer is actually struggling now, but there's thousands more nodes now, so you get a lot more accurate estimation of what has a wall in it and what has an obstruction in it. But I mean, obviously it's going to be a lot slower on your CPU as well. Okay, so I'm just going to stop that there again. So I have the scripts are here anyway, and I commented as well, so it should be very clear what's happening. So how I do it as well is, you can see here that there's a mask for unwalkable. Okay, so you basically put in anything this is a layer, an unwalkable layer. So anything that has been added to this layer, when doing the calculation, the wasp will know that I can't go through it. So for example, if I was to select a wall, like this particular wall here selected, if you look up here at the layer, it says unwalkable. Okay, so anything you don't want the enemy to be able to go through, you put as unwalkable. So if I was to create an object here now, okay, just really fast, cube, if I was just to bring that cube up here, if I just put that cube right here, okay, and if I add this to the unwalkable layer, and now I run, you can see the red around it. I forgot to turn back down the nodes, but you can see the red just around the side of it there. So the wasp again knows that it can't go through that particular area. Okay. And as I said, like everything is like completely commented, so it should be fine to understand. You can make this grid as big or as small as you want. So again, if I select the A-star here, I put in the size here only to make it as big as I need it. So for example, if my level was a lot bigger, I can bring this up to 100 and it go off out here further to the sides, or whatever. So I'll put back to 71, and that's pretty much how the A-star works. I suppose I'll just run it one more time so you can see the enemy actually run to the player. So just to prove that actually worked. So if you just watch the top there, you can see that I'm running around, collect this egg, and there the enemy is after getting to me there now. So you can see him calculating the path. Now these things here actually, by the way, are new to the game. These are telepads that I've put in, okay? So if I go through this, I'll be teleported to another location on the level, and you can actually watch the enemy dynamically calculate a path to me then up top. So now I've gone to a different area. If I just pause it, let me zoom in. Okay, you can see that I'm actually up here, okay? And if you follow the black path down here the whole way, you can see there's the wasp. So it's probably very hard to see, but he's there. So if I just double click him, sorry, I'll keep him highlighted, and if I just resume, you can see him there calculating the path up to the player. And if you look at my bottom screen now, he's going to come around the corner, and there he is. Okay, so that's the A-star algorithm. Okay, so I'll just show a few more other features of the game here as well. So you can see here these big green buttons. Okay, so I added new traps to the game, so you might be able to see big thing on the wall here, this face. So a big spike comes out of that basically that kills enemies instantly. So if you walk on these buttons, out shoots the spike. Probably can't see it there, but it's spinning. But as you stand on the button, the spike will stay out. Once you come off the button, the spike goes back in. So that's obviously a good way of killing enemies. Stand on these big spikes, and they're killed. Right, so there are a few other types of enemies. So here's a new type of enemy now, okay? So this is a giant bug, okay? So again, they have a cone of vision. They use a table-based lookup, okay? So I'll just, what they'll do is, if I try to kill them by maybe jumping on their back or something, when they get weak, they will run away and they will find a medipack, okay? So if I just jump on his back, so there you can see he's running away now, okay? He's running away. Sorry, there's another big enemy coming for me there now, and I'm going to try to avoid him for now. I'm actually going to cheat and jump up on an area up here so he can't hit me, just so I can show off the feature of what's about to happen, okay? So I'm just going to actually pause the game for a second. And I'm going to... just going to bring this over here. Okay. So I just want to show you what's happening with that that enemy that is going looking for the health pack. So you can see again, sorry, this is just the A star again being calculated for the A star enemies. So you can see the areas that are red that they can't go through and the areas that are green that they can go through, okay? So here's that bug. Now it might be a little bit hard to see because of the cubes being generated, obviously. So he started fleeing. If I go down here on the right, you can see he's... oh, sorry, that's the wrong bug, is it? Yeah, the wrong bug. Sorry, never mind. Where is he? Yeah, here we go. So this is the bug. This is actually the bug here. That was fleeing away from me. Okay, so there he is. You can see down in the bottom right hand corner here again, it's fleeing. So what these giant bugs do, when they're fleeing, is they will look for a medipack. So it might be hard to see him now, but look, you can see there's a medipack up here, medipack over here. There's one or two other ones over there as well. So if I just unpause this. So he squirms past there. So he's using table-based lookup stuff, by the way, to find these medipacks. So there's collected one, and now if I pause the game again, you can see down here his state has gone back to patrolling. So he went off, found a medipack, and then he's gone back to patrolling. Okay. Now if I just have a quick look at this script, let's drag it on here. So here we go. You can see that he is using a table lookup, okay? So he has a table for 22 different waypoints, and he is able to find the medipack using that as well, basically, okay? So, sorry, problem scrolling, just 1 second now. Okay, so if I just scroll down here, you can see there's all different points, so he knows how to get from waypoint to waypoint. And then I have comments on the methods that he actually uses to find the medipack and stuff. Okay, so here when he flees, he looks for a medipack, and he basically knows, like, it's all commented anyway of how it works. Okay, so that's the static table pathfinding enemy there. Okay. So I might just do again now is I might just play through it for a minute or two, okay, just so you can see some of the kind of the basic functionality of the game. So as I mentioned, I put in a few extra little things, like the telepads for one. So obviously you have the traps that I showed. There we go. Step on that, the spikes come out. That's pretty good. So kill enemies. So for example, look, this enemy's coming for me here now. Okay, I'm going to kill him with this big trap. So as he goes in front of the trap, I use the spike. And I missed him. That's great. I'll just try again. Oh, I killed him when I jumped over him. Okay, well you can jump on their back to kill him. You can kill him with spears. You can kill him with traps. So there's telepads up here as well that let me teleport to a different area, which is pretty cool. Especially for when loads of enemies are at you. When there are multiple enemies coming after you, the best way to do it is to get away from it is to go through telepads. So there you go. I went through that one. Went to a different location. You can go collect the next egg. And so on, okay? So the idea is to use these spears when you find them located throughout the level, because as I mentioned in the report, I made these a lot stronger now, these spears. So maybe 2 to 3 hits of a spear will kill an enemy, or you can still just kill them by jumping on their back. And you have to do it multiple times, obviously. So he's still coming for me. Jump on his back. Oh jeez, if I can ever do it. Yeah, and he's dead. Okay, so there are a number of things I do as well that are inference based. So what I do is I constantly check to see how the player is doing as the game goes on. Okay, so for example, as you can see here on the screen, right, what I'm doing here is I'm checking to see how many eggs the player is after collecting in a given time. Okay, and based on how they're doing, if they're doing too good, like they're after collecting a load of eggs really fast, I will load in another enemy to kill the player. Okay, so for example, if I was to change this here, okay, and if I was to say after 10 seconds, if there are 5 eggs remaining, it's going to load in another enemy that instantly try and kill the player. Okay, so if I was to just run this here, okay, stand here. So after 10 seconds now, it should load in another enemy to that point. So there we go. So there it's after load in another enemy, and he should actively try and basically kill the player now. Okay, there we go. Came up into there, and now he's swinging and taking down their health. Okay, so just get rid of that. So obviously now this, isn't meant to happen after 10 seconds. What it actually does is it waits after for maybe like 200, 300 seconds, and then if the player has collected 2 eggs, well then it's going to load in an enemy. So I do this on a few different levels as well, but it's not always just that simple. So for example, a few other things that happen are on another level. If the player kills a lot of enemies in quick succession, it will load in enemies that will try to kill the player. As well, there's other things like if the player has collected a lot of health packs in a short amount of time, it'll spawn more enemies as well, because it'll assume that because you've used a lot of health packs that you're close to dying, you're not very good, you're getting hit a lot, so it'll spawn in more enemies to try to kill you. As well, if the player collects a lot of weapons, okay, in a short period of time, I have all the bugs in the game, all the bug enemies will make a decision. Okay, so what they will either do is they'll realize that the player has collected a lot of weapons, which obviously means he's doing a lot of attacking. So they'll make a decision then. They will either attack the player, or they will go and try destroy the player's weapons. Or there's also a small chance that they'll just continue what they're doing. Okay, so I can load that up here on the next level. Okay, so this is just going to show how the bugs in the level will make a decision. Okay, based on like the weapons thing I was telling you about. If the player collects a lot of weapons in a short amount of time. So if I just run this here, okay. So you actually see clone enemies up here as well, but this is just enemies being spawned in randomly, okay? So at the moment I'm only doing 2, but obviously you can put in as many as I want. So when the level starts, it loads in enemies into random positions, okay? Okay, so there's a wolf coming at me now, but if you can just ignore that and just try to look at the top, at the output in the console. If I collect all these weapons really fast, there we go. So I'm just going to pause that. So the 2 bugs on the level have made a decision, okay? So one of them has decided it's going to keep patrolling, and the other bug has decided, okay, he's after collecting too many weapons, so I'm going to go and attack him now, because otherwise he's going to kill all the other enemies and win the level. So the other option, again, as I said, is they could have made a decision to basically go off and start destroying any other weapons that are located throughout the level. So that's just another one of the ways that I kind of use affect the gameplay by judging how the player is doing. So next thing I'll do is show 1 or 2 of the other enemies, okay? Okay, so Okay, so there are a few other inference-based things as well that I do to kind of control the difficulty of the game as it's progressing. Okay, so we can see here that there is, at the start of this particular level, there is a cage. Okay, and there is an enemy trapped in the cage. So this is the kamikaze enemy. This is the enemy that goes for the player. Okay, so they automatically know where the player is, they follow the player, and they try to kill him. Okay, so what I do in this level is based on how fast the enemy kills a lot of players. So if the enemy goes on and kills, sorry, if the player goes on and kills a lot of enemies in a certain amount of time, that will determine how this enemy behaves when the cage is released. So the cage will be removed after maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and if the player has killed a certain amount of enemies in that time, well then the game will assume, okay, this player is good, so that this particular enemy here will go for the player. It'll automatically go for the player. But if the player hasn't killed many enemies, it'll assume that the player, maybe isn't as dangerous as he'd like to be. So instead, this enemy will go and guard a particular area towards the center of the map instead of actually following the player trying to kill him. Okay, and as well, what I do is I also do a check to see how many health packs the player has used. So if the player is pretty bad and has used a lot of health packs, then the game is going to say, okay, let's try to kill this player because he's obviously nearly died a few times, so it'll load in a load more enemies and try and kill him. Okay, so if I just open up the script here, okay, so this is where I do both of those things. Okay, so here I'm checking to see if the enemy count has gone below a certain amount, well then we're going to make this enemy attack the player. If not, we're just going to make him go to a certain part of the map. Okay, and down here I'm going to instantiate a load of enemies if the player has used a certain amount of health packs. Okay, health packs used greater than 4. So I might just do a quick test of that here. Okay, so for example, if I change this to just spawn the enemies after 10 seconds has elapsed. Okay, and I'll just say if the amount used is this. So it's just a quick test here to show that it'll work. So if I close this down here now, this will just hurry up and sorry no. Okay, so if I just run the game now, and if you just keep an eye on top of the amount of enemies up here, okay, so at the moment there's 2 enemies after spawning, okay. But now once the time goes down, if you just keep your eye up here, there we go. So it loads more after spawning in again, and they spawn at random locations. So for example, if there's one, there's another, probably a few more around the place as well. They spawn at random locations, okay? So that's just another way that I kind of adjust the difficulty of the game dynamically. So I'm just going to play through for a few seconds again, so you can kind of get the gist of the gameplay again. So, as I mentioned before, this particular fella can't see you unless you move while you are in his range of vision, okay? So he's not looking at me now, so look, I can move, jump around all I want. And then if you can see me and I do move, then he goes mental and he starts calling wasps, who's going to start coming for me now. But I can run away and I can just go through maybe one of these telepads. Oh, go through 2 of them, came back. So if I go through it again, there we go. I have to go through one telepad. I'm in a completely different area now. So I'm away from whatever enemies were chasing me, but I don't know where I'm going to land, because the thing is, when you go through these telepads, it's completely random, so you don't know where you're going to end up. Okay? So I'm just going to run away from him. You can see the other bugs there just patrolling the way they're meant to be. So this is a fellow who has a set path, and if I go too close to him, look there, he'll come for me and start attacking, but once I get too far away from him, he'll just go back to patrolling to his actual path. So if you can see, he's coming for me there, okay? But if I keep running away from him, oh, hit him or something. If I keep running away from him this way, once I get out of his range, you can see he's gone back to his path. And I've gone into this bug's cone of vision, so that bug is coming for me. I'm just going to jump on his back. And there he's gone fleeing away, running off to either destroy one of my weapons or off to a stronger enemy, depending on what type of bug he is. So this guy's after seeing me now again. I have him fairly weak now for the sake of this demo, so I can keep jumping on his back. I'll probably have to kill him if I keep jumping on him. There we go. He's dead. This fella's after me. Doesn't really matter because he's fairly weak. But again, if I just jump on his back a few times, there we go. He'll start fleeing and run off, and again, either destroy a weapon or something like that. There we go. Throw a spear at him and kill him. So it's the general gameplay again. Again, the plants act similar to that little blue thing. They call enemies that they call the wasps to come and help. So just let's assume there's too many enemies after me here. So I'm going to go through the telepad again, escape, back to this fella again, and I'm going through it again, back towards the start where I was. You see the wasp is there because he had been called by that blue fella. Sorry, and I went too close to the blue fella there, and that's why he actually teleported to a different location. Okay, I'll show you that in a sec, because there's only one blue fella in the moment in that map at the moment. But once you go too close, they teleport. So this wolf is after me now. So you might remember me telling you that wolves call other wolves. So there's only one way into this room, which is down this way. So if I start running this way, there we see another wolf after coming because he heard the call of the other wolf. After he spotted me. I get this, I can collect the spear. Maybe. Oh, sure at the wall. Okay, so that's the general gist of the game anyway. There's the last wolf coming up again because of that call. So I can run away. So you might see as well down the bottom left the dinosaur health bar. Okay, that dinosaur is still in the game. I just have him moved off for the sake of the demo, to make things a little bit clearer to see. So I might just throw him in just for a second, just so you know he's still there and still functions. Okay, so there you can see I've just put the dinosaur back in. Okay, so he helps you kill the enemies basically. He will follow you around. The idea is he helps you kill enemies because he's a lot stronger than you are, and you help him stay alive by giving him health packs basically. So he'll go for that enemy. If I go too close, he'll disappear. If I go in here now, he should start attacking this plant. So if I walk in front of the plant will start calling out to the wasps, and then they'll start attacking. They'll start fighting basically. One of them is going to die, most likely the plant. Yep, there's the plant dead now. The dinosaur is still alive, and the wasp is probably around here somewhere. So you can see the dinosaur's health is down a little bit. I can go up and I can middle mouse click and give him the health back instead of using it myself. Okay. So there's a few more enemies there. Wasp or whatever. So I'm just going to run away from him and need the dinosaur basically kill him. So you can see them fighting away up there and getting killed here now because there's a few enemies all stuck in me basically. You can see them fighting away. And if I was to leave this long enough now, I mean that dinosaur will probably die because there's a lot of enemies here right now. But other than that, he'll kill those off eventually. Okay, so that's, like, he's just killed that one there. So that's the general gameplay of the game.